So what are your...
Cool. Jamie,
Yeah.
you go first.
Okay. So I'm Jamie. I'm the CEO of Sideline Amusements and also GPC Games. They're basically the sister companies. We use Sideline as a publishing label, specifically for small arcade and action-oriented games on multiple platforms. And Q Bert is the first Steam game that we've done. Robert?
Yep, and I'm Robert Van Gool. I co-founded and the president of Gonzo Games. We're I think going on 7-year-old indie studio, and we do do Flash, online, mobile, and this is our first Steam game as well. With the Q Bert title.
Okay.
And we're basically up in San Francisco.
Why did you guys decide to do the Q Bert project?
Oh, I think well, we're both of a generation where we grew up with classic arcade games.
Okay.
Quarters were probably the most valuable thing in my childhood. And at least for me, I kind of missed that era of video games. I got in development doing PC stuff in the 90s, and I did a little bit of 16-bit work, but mostly kind of hit the 32-bit generation when I came over to consoles. And that never really gave me a chance to explore the classic arcade and 8-bit eras of gaming. So it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. And then this studio, specifically as an indie, has more flexibility than some of the studios I've run in the past. And we were looking for the right product to do in the space. Robert and I met, and I think we have a shared love of early gaming, and throwing around the idea of what could we bring back that really hadn't been done. That was good games. Q Bert came up, and we were lucky enough to be able to find the IP owner and get a hold of a license, and so that's where it came from.
Yeah, and we had a feeling that retro would be making a comeback. The whole game would be making a comeback. They wouldn't, be disappearing forever. So we figured that there might be an opportunity there that there might actually be a market for it. And I think we were right.
Awesome. Yeah.
The cameo in Wreck-It Ralph didn't hurt. That certainly gave us hey, look, kids even know who Q Bert is now.
Yeah. So there was a new generation that was being introduced to old arcade games. And if you looked at the time, on the news groups and whatnot, all the kids were like, "Who's this Q Bert guy? Who's Q Bert?" And then other kids going, "Oh yeah, my dad told me about Q Bert," or "We have an old Q Bert, my dad has some old Q Bert cartridges. I'm going to play them." That kind of stuff. So that was a good encouragement for us to go ahead and move ahead with the project, because it is pretty risky. We bootstrapped it.
Yeah. Nice. Well, personally, I found the game very enjoyable. I'm actually going to finish it. First game I was asked to review that I'm going to finish, actually. And but this is a question that I was asked to ask you guys from people at SteamFirst. Was what was the inspiration behind changing the playfield from squares to the hexagons?
So we really wanted to open up what we could do level design-wise, and we wanted to do something different with the rebooted version that was not a change in core mechanics. We thought at least we're going to do a few Q Bert games here. It's not a one-off for us, but for the first one, we really thought you had to stay within the box of the core mechanic of changing the shapes. As the goal, and so the hexagons basically gave us the ability to do more unique shapes, and they also softened the learning curve. I don't know if you've played classic mode. But Q Bert is incredibly difficult in its original form, and so it also gave us the ability to kind of really smooth that ramp out to kind of introduce it to players who weren't familiar with it. That said, I don't think we'll be locked to hexagons. We're planning some updates to Q Bert, and you might see some other shapes get introduced as we add more levels.
But how do you guys think the game is received overall by, I guess, audiences? Or
in general, the response has been really positive. We've got. I think that of course, you got people that are really enthusiastic that we brought back Q Bert. That's the older generation. New generation that we're seeing are really enjoying the game as well. The only snarky things that we're getting is, wait a minute, Q Bert with hexagon? They should change the name. It should be like Hexabert or something like that. But Jamie, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, overall, we were kind of surprised with the response. Everybody was super supportive. This being a first, we've all been participants in the Steam community for a while. Being the first Steam game, we were kind of surprised at the community's response. Like, we had a few people point out some things we missed in the classic conversion, and as soon as we spoke up and said thank you and we'll fix that stuff, we basically had volunteer testers to help us hit the authentic pieces that were missing. Like, we missed the sound effect and a few small things because the license came without anything from an asset standpoint. So we really only had what was available in public domain. And then the response to the new one has really been, what we had hoped for, which is that people appreciated that we smoothed the difficulty ramp out and liked the graphic update. So overall, I think it's been pretty good. And then just from Steam specifically, I've really enjoyed interacting with the community and how supportive everybody's been. So it's like we have we're patching. We should be out next week with a patch that'll add some levels and clean up some of the issues that the community pointed out. In general, we're planning on treating it as a kind of like a an ongoing project. It is it was bootstrapped and we're both indies, so we can't make it a full-time thing, but we do plan on updating as regularly as we can. So you should see some fairly regular updates with additional levels.
I look forward to that, actually. Anyway, how many people were involved in the actual making of this game?
That's a good question. We split it between the two studios, so beyond Robert and myself. I had three people who worked on it, fairly full time for periods of time, and then we're about 20 people at the studio. Probably half of the studio touched it at some point, either from an art or a game balancing or a code standpoint, depending on what was going on.
Yeah, and then on our end, on the Gonzo Games end, we had about 2 guys on it full time during most of the production phase, and then we brought in maybe a total of 6 or 7 people at one time or another, depending on the discipline. But you have to realize we had to pretty much recreate the entire game. There was absolutely no code base that we could use.
It was also interleaved around our other projects for both our studios. So it was not. It wasn't something that we said, all right, these 4 people are working on it dedicated for the next 6 months or 8 months or 10 months. Hey, we have 2 months. Let's work on Q Bert.
It was when we had gaps in our paying gauge, basically.
So, how long did it take over? I don't know if you guys answered that already or not. Volume going through my headphones is really low.
That's actually a little embarrassing because it took us longer to get to market than we originally thought.
Than it should have for a game for this type of game.
Yeah, but it was almost 2 years that we spent with it. but that's, like I said, that's not working full time. In that 2 years, we were probably in production for 6 or 7 months if you like, totaled up the production time.
Okay.
Our pre-production was really long because we had to do a lot of research.
Yeah.
And like I said, there was nothing.
Lots of YouTube videos and lots of really frustrating days with MAME emulators playing the original.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was that. Yep. And then also, we were able to get some old assets from I believe Sony, but even that, we had to pretty much recreate everything, and it had to be pixel perfect, especially with obviously with the original version. Then we really need to make sure that we nailed that. It looked exactly the same. So that our art guys spent a lot of time on that. But it looks like we nailed it. The rebooted version, of course, there was a lot of thinking on that. Because we had to basically say, what do we do with one of the most iconic games ever from the arcade era, the dawn of gaming, and how do we improve on it, or how do we make it different, or how do we do it to make it relevant to a new generation? So there's a lot of thought that went into that.
So do you guys think that this particular project would inspire other studios, or even start some kind of trend with rebooting more classic arcade era games?
Well, yeah, we hope so. Although there, we obviously I'm thinking are there other games that we can do? And Donkey Kong is out there already, I believe. Frogger is out there.
There've been a few out. Namco does a good job of managing their catalog. Atari tried to do some of their classics in their previous iteration. To be honest, I'd like to see more indie studios do it, because I think you probably get a better result. Although I really, some of the stuff Namco did with Pac-Man was pretty spectacular. Actually. I do think you'll see. I don't think this will ever go away. I think there's an ongoing interest in retro gaming. I think if you look at the popularity of 8-bit graphics in modern independent development, it's a pretty good indicator that this isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I was mostly referring to, more like indie studios doing it.
Yeah, it's hard because they're very valuable licenses and IPs that in the most part are owned by large companies now. And in some cases, the rights aren't really clear in terms of who actually owns all the assets and names and stuff. So there's some that you'll see forever, like Donkey Kong or Pac-Man, or the ones that kind of created or helped create some of the large companies today. And then there are others that I'm not sure you'll ever see. We sit around regularly and talk about other games that we played as kids that we'd like to bring back.
Okay. So what kind of games do you guys like personally? Or do you guys not spend a lot of time with games?
I've got a Gauntlet 2 cabinet and an Assault cabinet and an Addams Family pinball in my family room. So I definitely like classic games. I play a lot of shooters. I'm playing Battlefield 4 and I'm still playing Tribes from High Res, but I've been addicted to Tribes since Tribes 1. What else am I playing right now? I'm playing a ton of mobile stuff. My tablet, because I'm busy. My iPad is a constant companion, and it's easy for me to play there. I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but I'm level 110 in Clash of Clans. And I've been playing Game of War, which I find pretty interesting. And then lately I've been playing a lot of tactics games on Steam. Banner Saga stands out as something I really enjoy.
Yeah, so I'm always checking out what the latest casual game is up on iOS or Android, and kind of seeing what the latest mechanics are and whatnot, what's really trending and so forth. The latest thing that I just checked out is called Ninja Up by Game Loft. little simple Switch games. See, I don't get much time to play as I'd like to for fun, unfortunately. I've been playing Boon Beach a lot, which is follow-up to Gotcha Clan, and enjoying that. And there's Hero Academy.
Yeah, right.
Jamie and I have been sparring for 2 years now.
Yeah, I think we're actually the last two players on Hero Academy. I actually requested a match from another player about a month and a half ago, and I still haven't found one. So I think we really probably are the last two people on the server.
Yeah. And for the record, for some reason, Jamie beats me like 9 times out of 10, which is frustrating.
Played a lot of Hero Academy. That was the first mobile game I truly loved. Actually, I like the first game on my iPad that I played, and I really felt it was a gamer game. I still think of it as geek chess.
Yeah, and I like going back to some of the old games that I used to play. They're quite old now, like Flight Control. I'm not sure if you remember that one. Simple, you got to try and land airplanes on a runway, and it gets increasingly more complicated, and then you crash if you're not attentive. And then there's Jetpack Joyride. That was a fun little, brain-numbing game. And then I have a 3-year-old daughter, so now it's a little paint sparkle and sea stars and puzzle.
Fairies and princesses.
Yeah, exactly. Puzzle Pop HD and the movie.
So
You guys hear some noise in the background. I'm working from home this morning, and my gardener just got here trying to close the window.
yeah, so what are your guys' favorite platforms to develop games for?
Well, right now, I have to say, Steam has quickly become a favorite. We did Q Bert, and it's been a long time since I've been able to communicate directly with the audience. I was really surprised at how responsive the audience was, how much the community really cared, and how happy they were that we, as the devs, we were responding, and then frankly understanding of some of the mistakes we made along the way. Having come from PC and console box product, we used to put a game in a box, ship it off to retail, and you saw your review score and your sales data, and that was it. And then I did PC online games for a while, which was kind of my introduction to live ops, and that was enjoyable. But then we went back to mobile, which was weird because you're in live ops, supporting your games, but you don't really have any way to interact with them directly. So you have a lot of data, but you don't have any firsthand information in terms of your audience. So I was really pleasantly surprised with how responsive the Steam community is. So PC, I guess, would be my first love of platforms. Plus, it's open. Console's nice and all, but you still have, and Sony's done a great job of kind of breaking the box in terms of the rules and costs that used to contain what you could do creatively. But it's still console, and it's still expensive to develop for, and it's still limiting in terms of what you can do. So if I had to put them in order, I would say PC, and then tablet. The touchscreen was really the first new control paradigm that we've had since dual analog. So it really kind of gave us a lot to play with and experiment with.
Yeah, so the Steam platform has really been an eye-opener for us over the Gonzo side. Primarily for what Jamie touched on is the participation and interaction with with the audience. It's been phenomenal. Our experience with with mobile typically is saying like, "Oh, your game sucks," or you guys should have done this. And with Steam, the feedback and comments have been really constructive and supportive at the same time. So it's been great. 'Cause we're like, oh shoot, yeah, they're right. Those two guys are right. We forgot about adding that sound there. How's that happen? All right, well, we'll do that, right? And we used to do a lot of free-to-play Flash on the Addicting Games. We were like one of the top hit makers on the Addicting Games and Nickelodeon site. And cool thing about that is that you can also get player feedback, but you're dealing with a lot of negative comments that aren't very constructive. And also, what's typical of free-to-play Flash is that the game will be published one place initially, and then within a week, it's on every single portal out there, and it's just simply impossible to go and read the feedback on every portal. So it's a nice thing. Another nice thing about Steam, it's all contained in one location. So we're very we love Steam now, basically. We'll be doing more games on Steam in the future. But so then, secondly, it's online. We love mobile. We love mobile. It's getting harder and harder to really rise up above the noise, because it seems like everyone and their mother is putting out a mobile game these days. The game app stores are really overcrowded at this time. So it's nice to go to find a place where it's still a real community.
Yeah. Okay, so I just for, I guess, editing purposes and or writing purposes, I kind of want to cut this a bit short, if that's okay.
Sure.
But just, do you guys have anything you want to say in closing? Anything? No.
No, other than thank you to both the Steam community and the Q Bert fans for being so great about the title. We've been really surprised with the response both from the press and from the community. And we plan on continuing to support it as long as there are people who want to play it.
Given the response, we're very encouraged. So this is definitely going to be an ongoing project. So be prepared to see more levels, more improvements as we go on. And obviously, I'm sure you've heard the rumors or read them. We are preparing we're preparing the game for other platforms as well. So stay tuned for mobile. That will be coming out next, but in the immediate near term, we'll be releasing an update on Steam.
Okay. I look forward to that as well. So yes, thank you guys very much for taking the time to do this.